And you're welcome back. It's my pleasure to be with you once again. But the topic we are treating this morning doesn't bring much pleasure to me and many. And that's because thousands of young people this week, their parents and guardians, have been chasing some 5,000 jobs in the security services. So 5,000 jobs in the police service, 2,000 jobs in immigration, prisons, and fire services, whilst the National Intelligence Bureau, NIB, that's previously known as National Security, will accommodate some 140, and then the National Signals Bureau some 100. Now, some of the expectant, or in some cases anxious youth, said they've always had love for the service. Is that a politically correct answer, or it's really just the most reliable chance to fend off youth despondency over the difficult employment situation in Ghana? But the flip side also are the requirements about your height, your body markings, or if you have a health condition, which have alienated and eliminated some. Is it time to review some of these age-old requirements, or is just a way to keep off many of these potential recruits because there are just too many of them? We'll interrogate that with our guests shortly. But if you have any thoughts, do send them to our WhatsApp line. It's 055-369-8789. You can also send your tweets to me and also tweet at TV3_Ghana. But first, let's hear from some of the young people who've been chasing these jobs.
Perhaps it's too many people that they could do something about it. I mean, you could find a criteria to first of all sort out the people before it gets this huge, you know. I mean, I would assume that everyone, of course, needs to be given the opportunity. But I think you can do certain things online to make the process much better and to make the numbers much shorter.
Very far. Here's Ewak. When you get to the traffic light, the queue passed that side car. So that one did.
About 5:37. I wouldn't say it's stressful though, because this is just the beginning. We don't know what is ahead of us, but we are hoping and praying we get there.
And those were some of the young people there expressing their thoughts about it. And as of dawn today, when I was coming, there was a long queue on the Accra Girls Highway, or what some may know as the Obasanjo Highway, with lots of young people holding their papers in a queue for whatever preparations that are required this morning. I know that the Ghana National Fire Service did indicate that they may have to extend their processes, but let's take a look at all these issues that have been raised. Let me introduce our guests this morning. To my immediate left, the former acting MD for NIB, Alfred Thompson. Good morning, Mr. Thompson. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Also, we welcome the MP for Wa West, former policeman and also a member of the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament, the Honorable Peter Tobu. Thank you very much, sir, for coming in.
You're welcome.
Much appreciated. So I'll start first with you, Honorable Tobu. The security services jobs, so in total there are about 10,000 jobs up for grabs. And this week has been a difficult week. As someone who sits on the Defense and Interior Committee, is this the way we should have been going about these processes?
Thank you very much, Jifa. Let me say good morning to our cherished viewers and good morning to my constituents. I always say the name is Superintendent Retired Peter Tobu.
Okay, sir.
Honorable MP for Wa West. I always like to say Honorable MP for Wa West because the title Honorable belongs to the Wa West people. They gave it to me temporarily. At any point in time they wanted, they would take it back. But Superintendent Retired Peter Tobu remains my name. Thank you so much for picking these very important topics, particularly the first one we're just starting, for us to take a look at. It is quite critical for us to begin to imagine the quantum of young people in this country who do not have a job. And they are so desperate, looking for anything that they can do. What is happening right now in the security sector is just a simple sign that what is written in the National Security Blueprint, the National Security Strategy, that youth unemployment remains the greatest threat to our national security, to be a very true statement. Couldn't we have done this better? As a member of the Defense and Interior Committee, with an oversight responsibility for the Ministry of Interior, the Ministry of Defense, and the Ministry of National Security, I am sure that all of us are beginning to look at it differently. Because when I joined police in 1992, what I've seen, apart from the initial online application, there is no change. What it means is that for over almost 30 years, we've actually not changed the system so much. But the world is changing. Technology is transforming the world. And gradually we should begin to simplify some of these processes to ensure that these young people who are already frustrated can actually get recruited in a very dignifying and humane manner. Looking at what is happening, sometimes we say that you need to have a feel of what it is like if you get into the job. But gradually the psychological impact on these young people before they even get recruited can be lasting for their lifetime, lasting for their career. So I think that we should begin to look at it differently. Using technology, we can shorten the process, we can simplify the process, we can also create love for the various institutions that these young people have applied for. If you have 50,000 people to go through an aptitude test or go through phase 2 that we call the screening stage, and you know that you are going to deal with 50,000 people, and your human resource staff, there are about 10, and you think that this can take you 3 days, what is wrong with increasing the staff to 20? And deciding that you can even do it in 4 or 5 days. And also taking a decision that I will not do more than 400 people a day. And gradually you realize that if the 400 people are there, people may not even see the crowd. And at the end of the day, the 400 people who are on the ground can go through the system seamlessly and will go back home with some kind of joy. At least if I'm even going to fail, let me not fail going through stress. If I'm not even going to be enlisted, let me have that love for the organization and wish that I'll go back the next time. But many of these young people who are out there, at the end of the day, when they get back home, they will say, if it is this is the nature of the job, I don't want to do it again. We are allowing them to drop the love for the uniform job. I think that we can be doing better, and we should be doing better.
But do they really have love for the uniform job? Because it's almost as if it's an easy way out. Let's face it, the security services, apart from your salary, you get a generally good pension because Cap 30 and all that still remains the preserve of that group. At the end of the day, wearing a uniform gives power. People want power, they want influence as well. So it makes some also question the why in terms of young people's demand for this job.
For me, I think that if we have an opportunity as a country, every young person should go through security service for at least a year before you go out there to look for any other job. So the mad rush for these security sector jobs, for me, I am encouraged. I am encouraged because the young people want to wear the uniform. And there is some level of discipline that you get if you wear the uniform for a period of time. And when you get back to civil life, sometimes you see the world very different. As I'm sitting down, sometimes I see many things very different after 25 years in uniform with the level of discipline that you go through. You get back to civil society and you wonder why things are happening the way they are happening. So the mad rush is positive. But the truth is also that, is it really true that they have love for the various agencies that they applied for? Is it that they are so desperate to just look for anything that can earn them a salary at the end of the month? Fortunately for us, if you are through with the recruitment and you are enlisted, within 6 months at the training centers, if you are not cut out for that job, you may either have to leave or you just go in there and you suffer some level of frustration because the job is not cut out for you.
Oh, so is that really, so that's what happens?
Yes.
It's not cast in stone that when you get recruited, that's the end. You
No,
would
no,
still
no, no,
be
no.
asked to leave.
Some people run away. Some people are dismissed. Okay? Sometimes even your mother can come and plead that, please, I want my son to come back home. The complaints I'm getting, he's not having the love that I thought he was going to have. He thought it was so, sometimes people think that this is a gold mine, okay? I am going in there to look for money because there should be a lot of money in there. You see a young man who's just returned from peacekeeping, he goes to buy a car, he buys a car and he says, oh, I want to get in there. You don't know what it takes for you to get to that stage. So when you get in there at the beginning and you are getting frustrated, you realize that this is really not cut out for me. The truth of the matter, I've been in it for 25 years and I can tell you as a fact, there are people who go in there, they go to die, because they go in to look for money and you will die in the process. There are people who go in there and they are finally dismissed. And if you are sworn in to serve Ghana and you are finally dismissed, it's a curse. You know that? It is a curse because you've taken an oath to serve Mother Ghana and you have messed up yourself to the point that you are dismissed. If you are dismissed from the Ghana Police Service, from Ghana Immigration Service or Fire Service, they give you a discharge certificate. And on that discharge certificate, why did you leave? It is written there, dismissed. With that discharge certificate, it will be extremely difficult for you to get any other employment within this country. And even outside, I've gotten friends who deserted the police organization, they left to Germany, to US, and they got good jobs. And they had to write back to the country to find out, why did he leave the police? And when you respond that they were dismissed, you will never get that job out there. So if you are not willing to get committed to these security sector jobs, please, it is not a fanfare. Don't try it. If you get in there and you are frustrated and you are dismissed, you've damaged yourself forever.
Mr. Thompson, I don't know what your thoughts are about how the whole process has gone on. To be fair, I understand the prison service undertook their processes region by region. So for them, we didn't see that mad rush. But the mad rush was really for the immigration service, also for the Ghana Fire Service, and then, of course, a bit of the police service.
Sorry, can I add something
Yes.
before? In fact, all the services did it region by region. It's just that the numbers you are seeing depends upon how many people are interested in the particular agency. Let the police start, and you see the numbers. It will shock you.
Wow.
So all of them did it by regions.
I see.
Yes.
But it seems that for immigration, a lot of it was centered here in Accra. People came from Sunyani. We spoke to people who had come from outside Accra just to come.
Maybe they think that the Accra opportunity is brighter.
Mr. Thompson.
Yeah, good morning, Jifa. Good morning, my dear honorable member. He doesn't want to be called honorable member, but he's still, for now, you are.
For now, he is, yes.
My people of Central Region, I greet you, and also everyone watching us. It's been a lovely morning, and we are here again. We thank God for that. Unfortunately, our situation is quite sad, I always say. Yesterday when I was talking about it, I felt sad about the inhuman treatment that is being meted out to our young brothers and sisters. Because I don't see why someone should go and stand in the hot sun for these number of hours just to be employed. If it's been done before, it doesn't mean we should continue with it. And our government is totally against this way of treating people. We always try to blame others. I remember some time back when we were going to the American embassy, you had to go and form these long queues in the sun, and we were complaining. They had to move their embassies from one place to another just to create the room for people to be seated. I don't know why with this technology that we have and with the drive by the vice president that we should go digital, I don't see why these security agencies cannot go digital. If you know, I can only interview, or I can only check, or I can only have medicals for 100 people. It should be electronic. You go, you key in your code, and automatically at random, it gives you the number, the time you should be at a place. And people just go in, you should walk in, do your medicals, and walk out. Why should we go and form queues in this modern age? What is the basis for this? And it hurts me because you, the senior personnel sitting there, if your child was included, you wouldn't be happy. That is why sometimes you get all these to coach protocols and things going on. Because yes, if it's your child, you say that, oh, they should pass through this avenue, or they should pick this guy to come in. But what about the other person's child over there who is standing in the sun, and at the end of the day will not even have the chance to go through a medical, or will not have the chance to even submit whatever they are supposed to submit? Let us look at it holistically, and it's everything boils down to the security services. They are in charge. They should take it as a challenge to them. Now listen, yes, we want to do things the right way. And when I was speaking to my brother, and I was saying that, they said sometimes it's the way of what do you call it? It's the pre-training. I don't think this is pre-training. I don't believe this is pre-training. We don't believe this is pre-training. We should all sit up and rise up to this occasion.
You
what
talk
we are
about
doing,
technology, but we have started a path for digitalization,
Yeah.
true. However, how many of these young people have that kind of access? I mean, there's one about building the network system that the security of agencies need to. But let's face it, there's a significant population that are not, connected, yes, people may have smartphones, but they may have to go through, have, a proper laptop and all that in order to, go through a system.
No, once you log on, once you key in your name, your code and everything, like what happens with the embassies, when you key in, they will give you a date for your interview and all those things. And this can be done easily. If they want, we can put the necessary implements in place to support them, because at the end of the day, we want to move from this old ways of doing things into the modern era. When they are coming in, definitely they are not going to use those old demo cars and all those. They are coming to use new equipment and learn new things. So once we are doing that, let us go modern. Let us help them to go that way. If you are going to use a sophisticated weapon and you don't know how to even manipulate or maneuver through your phone to just get selected, then you have a problem. As a young person, you have a problem. Because we believe that the younger people should rather, and they know how to play with their phones even more than us.
They are more savvy at technology.
Yes, if you can't, you can always ask your brother or your sister or whoever to support you to do that. And it helps. It helps in making sure that at least the person is always on using their mind to develop.
Isn't there some value in the in-person approach? It's just that maybe asking 5,000, 2,000 people to come to one venue may not be appropriate. So an in-person approach usually may be helpful, but maybe you cut the numbers. Maybe if you're doing it over 2 weeks, then everyone knows the dates they are coming in.
Even if you want this in-person approach, you can still go digital and still have the in-person approach. But the only thing is to cut people from standing in the scorching sun for sometimes as
they start at dawn.
Dawn.
Like they start.
The last time I was speaking to someone, he went there 11 p.m. the previous night
before,
and couldn't even get access. 11 p.m. Go all night sleeping there, in the morning waking up, going through. There are even some places where they even give you snack and everything just to motivate you. So if you are leaving, you don't have, as my brother said, you don't have that bad impression about the institution. Or at least when I went, they gave me a cup of cocoa drink to have and everything. And it gives you that pleasure of, the security forces are good. But like a cutoff point, when you go digital, you can have the cutoff point for first come, first serve. If you don't, if you want 5,000 people, you can maybe say that, okay, we'll do it up to 7,000 and it cuts off. After that, you can apply. There is not that maybe you have a date, but immediately they put it online. You go, you apply. After maybe 7,000 people, it cuts off. Then you are choosing 5,000 people. Within the 7,000 people, you prune down to the number you need, those who are fit, those who are not. If there's a room to open another avenue for employment, you do so. So it keeps going. When you do it that way, at least you see that constantly there's some vibe going on. But when it happens, there's long queues and everything. By the time the person even gets there for his fitness test, I'm sure he'll be so dehydrated that he will not pass the test. And these are things we have to sit down as an institution and check and make sure that at the end of the day, the person coming in will come with some love, with some joy. You mentioned the situation that, is it just for the love of the uniform or is it the
desperation? Yes, for jobs.
One. Everybody wants to be somewhere, because when you look at the unemployment rate, let's start from 2008 when we were leaving office. It was 4.7%. Then it rose to 5.13, 5.32 to in 2012. Let's take from the Mahama era. 2012 was 5.94. It rose to 6.27, 6.53, 6.81. When we came in 2016, we dropped the rate to 5.45, the unemployment rate. Then we moved to 4.22. So gradually, you see that it's coming down, 4.16, 4.12. Then 2020 is going to 4.53. But you see that gradually, we are trying to bring it down.
It doesn't look like it's coming down, Mr. Thompson.
Because the population is also increasing. The population is also increasing. But when you look, the statistics speaks for itself. From 2009 that they took over, which rose from 4.7 straight up to 5.13. It rose all the way to 6.27 81 in 2015. Then it started dropping gradually again because there was room for employment. It tells you that if successively we have been closing the gap as was being done, by now all this Buhara will not have gone on. If gradually. Secondly, people want a secure job where at the end of the day they know that, I mean, if it's not even accommodation, when I'm going on retirement, I'll get something, a good package. And everybody wants to be secured. Everybody wants the good side of life. So if you see them going that tangent, I don't blame them. I know they also want to at least feel secured a bit in life.
So do you take the view of some that these young people want to work? Because you know, I've heard bits of the older generation also say young people, they are lazy, they want the quick fix approach to make money quickly and all that. What view do you take that this demonstrates that young people want to work and are willing to put themselves at the service of the state? It is the state that hasn't, you know, lived up to that commitment for them.
Once you see these long queues, it tells you that people are desperate for work. When you look at the conference center, when they were doing the job fair, the desperation for the young people to get jobs. When you look at even the national security report that said youth
unemployment is considered
a security threat,
yes,
ongoing, it tells you that people are yearning to get jobs. And the number of calls, I'm sure Honorable himself, the number of calls he gets almost every day or text messages saying that, oh, can you fix me into the security? Can you fix me here? Can you get a job for me here? It's ongoing. That is why when government said, I looked at the whole situation, says, listen, you can't employ infinito. So what do you have to do? Now, start creating this vocational, technical, and the skills. Try and support people by seed money to start their own businesses gradually. Because it's also imperative to make sure that people go into their private businesses. That is the best way of making money when you are working on your own. You can work midnight, you can work anytime, and you make sure that at least you are doing the best for yourself. So it's also imperative for all of us to get involved, sit down, think, plan for the next 20, 30 years.
All right. Let me take Honorable Tobu. So, Honorable Tobu, you're on the Defense and Interior Committee, and one of the concerns some have is that of these how many thousand jobs, some are even predetermined already, because a lot of people who may get in would be people who are politically connected. There are protocol opportunities for senior officers such as yourselves who sit or MPs in Parliament and senior government officials. Is that true? How do we ensure that there's a certain fairness in the process?
Thank you very much. Before I answer the question of fairness in employment situations in this country, I just want to make some few comments. You see, what is employment at all? The NAPCO personnel, do we say they are employed? 100,000 NAPCO personnel, are they employed? They've been told to go on 2 weeks leave, compulsory leave, pending the end of the program. Are they employed? Will you say you employed 100,000 young people of this country? You see, we missed out since 1987, when Ghana foresaw that a time was coming that we would churn out a number of people from our schools and they will not have any job to do. So we decided that we're changing the educational system, okay, to be able to train people with some skill set, including the academic knowledge, so that they can have that independence, even survive on their own. So at that material moment, we're thinking about developing the potential for Ghana to create entrepreneurs, innovators, critical thinkers. People can stand on their own and not look for government jobs. Today, go back to our schools, whether you find the science labs there, whether you find the carpentry shops there, whether you find the place where masons have to go and learn something, all of them have died, okay? So we brought in this junior high school system, right, to change our way of thinking about education, developing people who will actually get educated to be independent on their own. But finally, we've come back to the same square one. O and A level was just to sharpen your brains. The new system was to sharpen your brain and also give you something to do. we are back to the same chew, pour, pass, and forget. So you find first-class students who cannot do anything. So I told people, Ghana is producing young people who are not employable. So you see the young people, look, they have energy, they are willing to work, they want to do something. But the training that the state has given them has made them unemployable. And there are many companies in this country who will tell you, I cannot employ you. What are your skill sets? If you go to the United Nations, for instance, look, you have a PhD and somebody has a first degree with 10 years working experience. You go for an interview and they'll look at the skill set of the first degree holder and look at the fact that you have a PhD. You'll be shocked to realize that they will employ the first degree holder with that skill set that they need so that he will hit the ground running and abandon the PhD holder. So it's not all about academics. It's all about the fact that education illuminates our brains and makes us better people to become independent. You see, because of the challenge and the numbers, if you have 10 positions and 2,000 people are struggling to get in there, people realize that, listen, if it is just a fair system, I may not get it. If my father is connected, let me go and talk to my father. If my bishop knows the chairman of the board, let me go and talk to the bishop. If the MP is a friend to somebody within the board, let me talk to him. So you try to find some shortcuts to be able to make it, because the probability of you getting it is very slim. Take, for instance, 100,000 applicants for Ghana Police Service, and they are going to recruit 5,000. The probability of somebody getting in there is 0.05. The probability of you becoming a police officer in this current recruitment is just 5%. So when you look at your chances that are so slim, you begin to ask. I have a lot of calls, Honorable, this one you have to do something about it. I say, what should I do? No, talk to somebody. You know, you have some friends in the MPP, they will help you. You are not in government, but your friends are in government. And I say, oh, I see. I didn't join the police like that. I traveled from my village in 1992 to Accra, knowing nobody. Came to the depot, the Tesano training school. The crowd was like, as you've seen today, okay, juggling around the whole day for 2 days. Gradually got a chance to go through the aptitude test. Went back to my village in Poyentanga in the Wa West district. After 3 months, we were called that the results were out. I took the STC again to Accra, came and I had passed. And that was how I joined the police. Today, people are saying that, you see, that your time is different. This time around, you know, it is not even about who you know. Now we've degenerated actually to a point, it is about who knows you. That you'll be there and somebody will pick a phone and call you. Bring your certificate. I want to slot you in somewhere. But after who you know, you can know so many people, they can't help you. It's quite sad. And the youth are getting desperate. They are getting frustrated. And the system is churning out more.
But that's why I'm saying, how can we be sure the system is fair? Because if you look at happenings in the last 2 or 3 years, I know there have been accusations and counter-accusations about some of the quality of recruits into the service, even allegations that some members of what were known vigilante groups have found their way into national security because of political patronage. When people see things like that, they don't believe the process will be fair.
And these things you are talking about are seen by people. It is not hearsay. People are friends to all these people we are talking about. And he knows that you don't have a better qualification than me. And all of a sudden I find you wearing uniform. Then I ask you, hey, Kwegu, how did you make it? So now I work with national security. Now I'm a DNI officer. Now I'm with Ghana Immigration Service. How did you make it? Because you don't have what it takes to go there. It is not about what I have. It's about who knows me. And if we have gotten to that stage as a country, it is for all of us to come together and say, this is offending the collective conscience of the Ghanaian. And this is not the way to develop. Without security, we can't have development. And if this is how we can get security officers recruited into the system, the security officers themselves will become insecurity to the country because they are not supposed to be there. But somebody says, I am in power. You know, power is transient. Sometimes people think that when you are in power, you are all powerful. The power of the people is stronger than the people in power. And power is transient. One day you will leave. And when you leave and you have left behind something that the state cannot manage, you are creating future trouble. And that is leadership. Leadership is all about departing from the scene. Many years down the line, people still remember you for the good things that you did. But if you depart from the scene and people come, excuse me, I know you to be somebody who is not supposed to be a soldier. And the soldiers are quiet. You are not supposed to be a police officer. The police are quiet. You are not supposed to be an immigration officer. They are also quiet because there is somebody in power who insists that it must be done. That power is transient. One day when the person leaves, I am telling you with my 25-year experience, you will struggle in the system till you get frustrated and maybe resign. Because they know how you came And they know the fact that you are so arrogant because you have a big man behind you. They will treat you in such a way, break you down into pieces and remold you. If you agree to be reformed as a professional soldier, a professional police officer, a professional Ghana Immigration Service officer, then you can survive. If you think that you can still keep the leverage with the past and think that you are somebody so important, they will squeeze you until you explode. That is the security service. So sometimes when I sit down and look at things that are happening, that you know somebody and by virtue of that, even if you are not qualified, you can find your way in there. Please don't worry. Get in there. The system will eject you one day and you can never go back. You know, let me say something. 100,000 NACO people, 700 Ghana cedis a month, times 100,000, that is 70 million a month, times 12 times 3. If government had decided that, listen, you have your degree, it's okay. Instead of the 70 million a month get into your pocket, let me give you maybe 20 million a month for just pocket money and use the 50 million, put you somewhere and get some expert in innovation and creativity to train you on how to become independent. I'm sure that within the 3 years, we have created at least a minimum of 50,000 young people who are on their own. And we are ensuring that the private sector becomes the real engine of growth. Government business is not to be in business. Government business is to provide the enabling environment for the private sector to flourish. And the private sector can take 20 times more than what government can take. Today, our payroll is full. And I hear the Minister of Finance say, please don't think about government job. There is no space. And the truth is that that space has not been there for many years. And that space that is also there for people to enjoy is not being developed. Government is crowding out the private sector. Government is competing with the private sector for loans. How can that be? And government is a huge economic macho. If a huge economic macho goes for loan, $200 million, and a company is looking for $5 million to establish in Ghana, and government competes you out, crowds you out, the private sector will begin to die, and government will have the responsibility to absorb all these numbers, and government cannot. And because government cannot, the youth are frustrated. And these youth are not employable by many companies. It is our duty to begin to think about how can we make them employable? How can we make them independent? How can we create entrepreneurs? Such that at the end of the day, you can even get a government job and somebody will tell you, I'm not interested. You go to certain jurisdictions, nobody's interested in a government job. How much are you paying him? In this age of technology, there is a young man who brought Glovo, right? Glovo is becoming something big in Accra. Sit in your house, you can order the food, they'll bring it to you. The young man who developed this app, if he's sitting in the house as MD for Glovo, I don't think you will find him among the young people on the square looking for a police job or looking for an immigration job. He wouldn't go there. He's using technology to empower himself, and he has employed many people, and he's created jobs for many other people. That is the way to go as a country if we want to develop. Okay. But if we want to still depend on government, and government is also crowding out the private sector, and we make those flamboyant statements in public, the private sector is the engine of growth, but the engine has no engine oil in it. How does it function? All
right, let's take some messages. So, Mr. Thompson, you can chew on the last bit, particularly about government competing with the private sector for jobs. Let's take some of these messages now from Twitter. This one from James Badari. The security services is for everyone, but not everyone is for the security services. Emphasis must be placed on intelligence and not the bizarre criteria we are bedeviled with. Yes, and I know what you're talking about the height, if you are short like me, or if you have double piercings or dreadlocks and the like. We'll come to talking about that. This one from Atikbazuka. What's her name? Some of the criteria for selection are just unthinkable. How tall is the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces? Do they want to say that there is no short person in the services, no stretch or surgery mark people? These are not appreciable criteria. Leslie Clark writes, unfortunately, governments have failed this country. It's a shame how governments see nothing wrong with this and always look for a way to downplay the situation. It's become so unattractive to be a Ghanaian. And this one is from King Mana. And he says, right now, I'm actually at the queue at the Accra Girls waiting to write the exams. So that was the queue I saw this morning, as early as 5:15, because I was on the road at that time. So he's
watching you on his phone there.
So I'm sure he's watching on the phone, yes. And this one from Tony Frimpong, commitment to serve in the security services? No, never. It's a desperation for jobs. Thank you very much for some of your messages. Let's just hear quickly from brief visual of the Ghana National Fire Service, their regional chief fire service officer in the central region, who was warning young people against scammers.
Any demand from anybody in terms of I can help you in this way or in that way, because when there's a large group, eventually it's possible we may have one or two people who may take undue advantage. So we are advising the public that the means that Ghana National Fire Service use to communicate to the applicants is the same means that will be used to communicate any further information to the applicant. And so they should not adhere to any demand from any place.
And that's the Assistant Chief Fire Officer in charge of the central region there. So I'll come to Mr. Thompson. Yes, your thoughts before I bring on the other issues.
Thank you, Jifa. And I'm glad my brother said, talked about NAPCO.
Because tomorrow NAPCO ends. 3 years of it has come to an end.
Someone has training for 3 years. First, he couldn't get training. When you go and apply for a job, they'll ask you, any professional training, job experience. They've given them job experience. So now he has it on his CV. 3 years of working here, this is what I learned, that is what I learned, that is what I learned. And that can give you a job. A lot of people go and they don't have job experience. So when they go, they fall out. That is what the government sat down, looked at and said, listen, you always ask for people, job experience, job experience. Who should train for you to come and take? So let's do this. Let's take 100,000 people. Let us give them that training. Let us give them that requisite experience. And then when they go and apply, some of them working with the company that you are dealing with will be picked up automatically because of your hard work, because of the effort you are putting in and everything. So at the end of the day, we get people who have training and are moved into some jobs. Some have been picked, some have fallen off. Some would also put it on their CVs and reapply at other places and things. Secondly, he had this talk about what do you call it?
The protocol?
No, not the protocol. The training or the giving skills of the young ones.
Okay, that a lot of the young ones are unemployable. They don't have employable skills.
2 or 3 days ago, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia came out to say that we've really streamlined the TVET, giving people employable skills, giving people entrepreneurial skills, giving people the belief and the love to go into their own businesses with the TVET. Because once you are given that training, yes, you might say that, we brought in the GHS, SHS to help, but that is not the end. Now, after moving from that place, they go into the technical universities and get the training proper. And when the president was in Central Region, he opened the ultra modern lab at the University of what do you call it? Cape Coast Technical University. Cape Coast Technical University. Yeah, that's the name, CTU. Which shows that this is where the government,
this is the direction that we are going.
The move and everything, and you see that he's getting in line there. I think it's just that he's in the wrong party, so he might have to move in, because you see that he's following the ideals and the realities of what is on ground and what the government is doing to make sure that training skills are given. And that is why the minister came out that after your TVET training, that is not the end. We are now with the NEIP. We are giving seed money to people for their own small companies, small businesses to start. And after the seed money, we are going through a skill set again. Management, how to manage your finances, how to manage the company, how to manage people and everything. So it's not an end. It's an ongoing process that is teaching and helping the young ones to stand on their feet. And because when you start a company, automatically you don't become solid. It takes 2 to 5 years, mostly, for your company to be on a balanced scale.
But that exactly is the problem. It takes 2 years to actually maybe make a profit and all that. Someone sent an interesting tweet that Jifa, the mad rush is not all about employment. This from Abdul Salam Hussein. He says, Jifa, the mad rush is not all about employment, but also about unsatisfactory jobs. Not all the people we see there are satisfied with the jobs they hold, which I think is a good thing the person has pointed out. Because yes, somebody may have started their business. It's not doing well enough.
It's not business. Some people might even be working in an organization.
Yes.
Listen, there's someone who is working in one of the security companies and told me that, listen, I've applied to the other one. How do we go about it to make sure that we get there? And I said that once you've applied, go through the system. But don't leave this one. Because if you leave and you don't get this one, you're in trouble. So that's the other issue. People are not satisfied with their income. Serious, and I gave you the statistics.
Yes.
There's a serious backlog.
I dare say those numbers may be higher because this is a country where statistics is not exactly our forte.
So let's assume that this is what the statistical service has given us yes. And we are using that. It
because
could be
there's
higher,
unemployment figures, then there's underemployment figures as well.
Yeah, it could be higher or lower, give or take. But what we have here tells us that there is a serious backlog that needs to, and that is why.
So why does government wait till 1 year to employ 10,000 people? Why don't we have a certain process where every year we know that people are getting in the same way we know that people are retiring or leaving the service, whether it's civil service, public service, security services, government, quasi organizations and the like, because it almost seems like it's not a big secret. I'll be honest with you. It's a long time since I really saw like job ads, because in fact there's a whole perception. There's a whole perception. Yeah. There's a whole perception that what you see in the papers is almost a hoax because a decision has already been made. It's just that in line with being open and transparent, they'll put an ad in there, but typically a lot of the decisions have already been made or people are already going through a certain process.
Jifa, it all boils down to one thing, that the system has been choked for a long time. So at the end of the day, when you don't get a situation or a process where government says that, listen, I'm going to take up this mantle, I'm going to give some employment listing, because when we went to the IMF, you remember they put a ban on employment publicly. So there was no way we could even employ until we moved out of the system. Then that was where now, and don't forget that every employment government is given, it affects its revenue. So when someone sits down and says that, oh, give me the chance with all the statistics we have, when I come back, I'm going to create 1 million employment, I sit down and I smile. Well, how are you going to create 1 million employment? It's not a matter of, isn't it a matter of a hoax trying to win people's hearts to just come into power? Because it affects, right now as we speak, the wage bill takes a chunk of the revenue of government. So
we are told that it takes close to what, 80%? 80,
70 something percent.
Yes, and then you have just some 15% for
to pay your other things,
and then of course the rest is for debts.
So it tells you straight away that whoever tells you that, listen, I am going to create 1 million employment is just lying to the people. Period. Straight and frank. Let us sit down and look at this. And that is why government has sat down over, even when we came to power and we were trying to reduce the unemployment rate, we have sat down and planned gradually to see that, listen, let us give people more skills into their own private sector to start running their business. Last time I was sitting down and someone came to me and said, listen, what we can do is that we can get you into a financial institution, get a loan, buy a minivan, and all you can do is that as a mechanic, you go from house to house, or you have a dial number on it. Then people who need your services, they just dial in. You just drive to the person's house and fix their rights. That is a business. And that can also earn you something. I am not into that field, so I will not do it. But you see, you start one thing and then you get so many people. Maybe someone like me who is not in that field, I have the money, then I decide that I'm going to create a fleet of businesses of that area and then be sending the mechanics around. By the end of the day, you realize that the thing goes off. or it becomes like this mobile phone business that started. Everybody was now doing it. But when we get professionals or people who really love it to go into it, you realize that gradually we open up the system. And that is why we are saying that whether they like it or not, we are going to give people the seed capital. We are going to manage them. We are going to help them. We are going to give them the requisite knowledge to manage their own businesses and make sure that at the end of the 5-year period or 6-year period that the loan was given, they are able to pay back.
Okay, so now that the NAPCO trainees are essentially out, what happens next?
Some have been employed.
Okay.
By their institutions.
Yes, but we all know that that's not so many. And since government says that the public payroll is full, I think what a lot of the NAPCO employees were hoping for was full employment. Yeah. So are we going to bring in more NAPCO trainees, or the scheme ends for now?
No, you look at other options. Definitely there will be some more NAPCO trainees. Definitely there will be other options. There will be other systems that will be put in place. But you see, sometimes we should be realistic. Maybe yes, the system could be choked or something. But when you go there, depending on how you also behave, the skills you show, the eagerness to learn more, and also be very willing to, that is where how people are employed. Because I always say, he mentioned something, but I always say that the best anybody can do for you is to get you that job. When you talked about the security services and the way they can drill you and you might even leave and everything, the best I can do for you, if you need a job and I have the chance to help you, is to get you the job. The best you can do for yourself is to work hard and stay in. Because if you like it or not, if I get you a bank, if I get you any institution, the insurance and everything, and you go there and you are lazy, and when they are doing certain things you don't want to do, and there's a time for maybe retrenchment and everything, don't add you to it. Right. But when they see that you are very hardworking, you're on point, this person is eager to learn. When I started in the financial institution, I started with ADB. Sometimes I move, when I have my free time, I move from department to department, studying other things. I don't just narrow myself. I get to work as early as 6 a.m. just to do a lot of my clear my table a lot, and then understand what is going on in other, even within the units within my department, just to get some grasp of it. So when you are moving out, you have a wealth of knowledge that nobody can take from you. But if you think, oh, I'm comfortable, let me just go sit in my small corner and talk about people, you think when I'm employing or when I want to maintain people, I'll maintain you. I wouldn't do that. And when you come and call me, who will help you to even get in there? I'll tell you straight away that I have done my best for you. The rest is for you to maintain yourself there, or to make sure that you get your permanent employment. There's nothing much I can do for you.
Okay. Let me bring in Honorable Toby, because I see he's been writing a lot. So just we'll quickly take your final point, and then we'll take a break. And then when we come back, we'll look at the requirements, which has touched a lot of people.
Jipa, one problem that the country has faced over years, and we are not honest to always admit it, lack of continuity.
Lack of continuity.
Yes. When we brought in this JSS system to be saying that let's shift away from the O and A level thing and train people with some skill set and academic knowledge to be able to be independent. From 2001, the MPP government stopped funding it. And that is why all the science labs collapsed, all the carpentry shops collapsed, and we came back to pure academics. And that is where we are now. Gradually, President John Dramani Mahama said that no, the problem is we don't have access. Let's talk about access, talk about quality. He started building e-blocks. President Nana Dankwa came to government and said, yes, I understand that access is a problem, but I'm not interested in completing your e-blocks now. I'm going to do a double track system to get more people. Are you
sure that's what he said?
Please, to get more people. Because your own action will show that if you are interested in completing this e-block, within a year or two, it should have been done. 5 years down the line, we are still in this gold and green tracking system. And we are churning out people. I was so surprised to hear the president say that they lost students something, that it was because there was lack of space. The man who is so innovative to bring gold and green track system into senior high school, he's not innovative enough to allow some other university have a license to train professional lawyers, and 499 lawyers would be put out of the system.
You are jumping the gun on that topic. Yes. You know we are coming to that later.
But what I'm saying is that the country will lack the spirit of continuity, and as we speak now, as a leader and a student of leadership, I ask myself every day, what is the vision of this country? What is the vision of Ghana? It is vision that motivates, it is vision that compels, it's vision that gives us the energy to drive and look at our objectives and move towards it. We used to have Vision 2020. It didn't work out, it's gone. President Kufuor brought Vision 2015. 2015 is gone, 2020 is gone. We are in the year 2021. What is Ghana's vision? What motivates the youth? Ask any professor in the university, ask any police officer, any soldier, ask any lawyer. You are a Ghanaian and you are in Ghana, you are so happy to be Ghanaian. What is the nation's vision? It is a vision that inspires us. Now we are doing ad hoc stuff. Get the youth and let them know that there is hope. 100,000 of them, and try to give them some money, just some tidbit for them to maintain themselves and survive for a while. Is that sustainable? No. They are being asked to go home now. And I'm so sad to hear my brother say that, oh, we brought them in to give them some skills. You brought them in, spent $3 billion Ghana cedis within 3 years to be able to give them skills to go look for non-existent jobs? Oh, please. The jobs are not there. So if you are even giving me skill, where am I going to get a job? It is government policy.
Is it fair to say that the jobs are non-existent? Let me give an example. There are some jobs today in communications that I can't apply for. A typical example is social media manager or digital manager. I don't know anything about that space. So if a NAPCO trainee goes into an environment where they acquire that skill, I know that there are lots of people looking for social media managers, partly because of COVID and all the things that came along. But the other question is, where can this person find this job? Because like I said, now people don't even really advertise. A lot of the roles are based on relationships, who you know, and who knows you. Like I've now got a new term, who knows you. That's a good one as well. So it may not exactly be fair to say, well, they are going in to find non-existent jobs.
Diva, let me tell you as a matter of fact, if many of these NAPCO people are your friends, talk to them. That for the 3 years, what skill have they learned? A few of them will tell you, oh yes, it was quite useful. But as a nation, holistically, 100,000 young people, 3 billion Ghana cedis, what skill have they learned to bring transformation to our economy? What skill is it? I'm saying that, listen, if we have a broad-based approach to this whole issue, President Nana Akufo-Addo is talking about transforming the Gadgetsburg economy. If we want to transform the Gadgetsburg economy, we need to do just what Lee Kuan Yew did. We need to be honest. We need to be pragmatic. And above all, let's understand that education, just the certificates alone, are not enough. When we are honest as a people, if it is wrong, whether it's under MPP or NDC, say it is wrong. You don't abandon a system that was supposed to train people coming out from school with a skill set already, and gradually come back to spend money when they are done with the school to send them back to on-the-job training for 3 years. And they're out now. Somebody should conduct a research. What skills have they gotten after 3 years? What is the prospect of the 100,000 NAPCO personnel after 3 years? What is the future for them? And ask yourself, has this project been impactful? Has it met the desired objectives? Can we do something new? And all of them will tell you, it is a good start, but we can do it better. I mean, when we're talking about one district, one factory, go to my village and go and ask them how they perceive it to be. Oh, this is the best policy ever, because all these young boys who are roaming around the street without jobs, they'll get jobs in the factories. Where are the factories after 5 years? Sometimes we are so much into sloganeering, and we excite people with slogans. Slogans without vision, in fact, it's a disaster. At the end of the day, the reality on the ground will expose you that your slogans were quite exciting, but because you didn't have a vision to anchor your slogans on, you will end your tenure and go out of office without anything that is sustainable, or anything that can even be continued.
So let me turn to Mr. Thompson, who had some points he wanted to rebut earlier. So you have the floor.
If someone sits at home for several years, and then you give the person training for 3 years, and my brother is saying that it's not good enough. When you couldn't give the person training at all, and I've come and I've helped the person at least to acquire some skill. You see, I mentioned something earlier on, and I said that the best thing for me to do is to get you the job. The best thing you can do for yourself is to acquire that skills on the job. It's not for the president or for the CEO of NAPCO to come and teach you the skills you need to acquire. They're giving you the chance to go and get the skills. So you get the skills, and then that skills you have, you can use it to apply for a job anywhere. Because earlier on, previously, when you apply for any job, they tell you that what skills, or they ask you that job experience, and you don't have anything. I've given you the 3 years of experience. And my brother is saying that that is not good enough. When during their time, they couldn't do anything like that. They couldn't even think about
They had youth employment
which
program.
employment? Which employment?
They had youth employment program.
The youth employment one that they were doing, which we are still doing, which was introduced under President Kufuor, was the what do you call it? The Atta police that they brought in and all those things.
But they are useful.
Yes, and we are still doing it because it's a program that.
All I'm just trying to say is that it's not fair to say they haven't done anything.
They haven't. What new thing did they bring on board? When we were introducing that program, do you remember what they said? When we were introducing, they said President Kufuor was writing names, but it was a 419 scheme. When we were telling people to register and write their names for the other time we were coming to start this
I remember they said
it was a 419 scheme.
Okay, so what I remember about registered names was all those who are selling dog chains and all that should come and register. They will find
because
them
they are finding them their jobs.
But
and
we still have people on the street selling dog chains. So my point, so I guess the point is
the old ones out from the streets, the new ones will come because everybody wants once they've seen that is a place that they can go and write their names through, they also go and get their names written. So it's you see, that's why I said that if they had continued and brought up new ideas during their era, then you have the yardstick to say that, oh, you are not doing anything good. But you couldn't even think and bring anything good. And you are not coming to tell me that you are going to create 1 million jobs.
But
when under your own tenure, job unemployment was rising.
Okay, but at the time of the Mahama administration, there were a number of initiatives, entrepreneurial initiatives as well. So the point is that
which one was the one that held?
Oh, under the Ministry of Employment, and even I remember
those
Honorable
were all initiatives that we had already put in place.
had mentioned all those things and worked on those things. But the point I'm just trying to make is, it looks like the attempts to solve jobs, it's never on this large scale that really deals with our issue. It's almost touch and go. And that's where the criticism of NAPCO comes in, that it's been touch and go. 3 years has come and gone now, and people are uncertain about their future.
Whilst you were there, like you are saying, people, even though they have jobs, are applying for the security service and other things. You could have used that to apply for a private company. There are so many ways. You see, I should not come and think for you. I should give you the necessary basic things, tools that will help you develop yourself.
Okay, so for you, young people who've been in a NAPCO role for 3 years have had an opportunity to also add on to their skills externally and all that, such that they are not just dependent on this one role that you have been provided. Given. Okay, all right.
Which is better than sitting at home for so many years not doing anything.
All right.
They could have sat at home for 3 years doing nothing, because we could have said, listen, we don't have job openings, we don't have anything to do. But we sat down and looked at it, that most people go and they reject them for basic things. No job experience.
Okay, I think we've diverted slightly from the security agencies, but I will allow you to
I'm not responding. I'm not the host, but I just want to ask something. You know, University of Cape Coast has produced a lot of teachers sitting at home doing nothing. Educate Ghana NAFCO personnel. Where are they going? Educate Ghana NAFCO personnel. They've been with the teaching field as NAFCO personnel. The professional who have been trained are sitting at home. There's no job, and the NAFCO personnel had completed his 3 years of internship on the job training. Now we need to get teachers on the job training, not getting them from the University of Cape Coast again, not getting them from our training colleges again. NAFCO personnel who did Educate Ghana, where will they go? You see, sometimes when we bring a policy that is a bit populist, at the end of the day, people will say it and you disagree. But wait until we deal with the 100,000 people of NAFCO, and you get to appreciate the fact that this was a very populist approach, just to assuage the pain of the youth who had suffered so much frustration from this country. We should think deeper. We should think deeper as a country to create lasting solutions to many of these nagging problems affecting the youth. And we need to go back. And the bases are just wrong.
Yes, Mr. Thompson, you want to rebut, but the point is not fair. I disagree, though, when you say, oh, their government didn't do it. At the end of the day, you've been in office for 5 years. It's been 5 years of the new patriotic party government.
What you are not getting me is that I'm not saying that we haven't been in office for 5 years. I'm saying that if they had closed the gap, it would have been easier to close the gap more.
Okay.
But they didn't do anything.
They didn't do anything. It wasn't enough.
They didn't do anything. Show me one policy or one thing, one new idea that they brought up under this employment scheme? Nothing.
Oh, that's one I can't immediately, but it's
go
not
back to
fair to
Tevez.
Ask
say
him
so.
himself. He
Tevez.
knows. He knows himself that they did nothing.
No,
TVET.
Mr. Thompson,
I'm
that
telling
one
you,
I don't
No,
agree.
go back to
I'm
TVET.
telling you on authority.
Go back to
I don't
TVET.
agree.
Everything.
I may not,
Under
it's just
the-
because maybe I
under the-
can't immediately.
under the,
but
youth employment. It was brought under President Kufuor.
No, but they continued it.
Whether they continue, though,
They
that's why I'm saying
continued
that
it.
You know,
when President
the-
Nanado came,
The factory.
even though we are continuing the
the
President
shoe,
Kufuor,
you remember the military shoe factory? That too was opened under the administration of John Mahama, wasn't it?
You know, the
the
difference
shoe
is
factory
that
was there
Yes,
already.
yes, but it wasn't really active.
Thank
the
you.
difference is that
So
So the
they
point
pump
I'm
in money for the manufacturing sector to go on.
Exactly.
And that is the same way when we are doing the 1D, 1F. We are revamping factories. We are bringing new factories up.
I'm just
coming.
trying. So
We are
I'm
bringing new factories
I'm
up.
just trying to
And you
point
see,
out that to say they did nothing. That is
I'm
where
saying that they
there's
didn't
the
have any
point
new
of
idea to bring on,
disagreement.
because that revamping of the factory has started under President Kufuor's time.
one district, one
Yes.
factory is an
Oh,
increment.
haven't
It's a
finished.
Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's initiative.
Haven't
So what is
finished.
new that you also brought?
Oh, okay. I
I
thought.
haven't finished.
Okay,
Hold on.
sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Don't worry, you can write. You have a lot of space in your daughter here. Write all of them down. You
Okay,
see?
but let's finish off this because
Yeah.
we need to address the bit about the requirements to enter the security services. That's a
If I-
critical issue.
Someone is at home, hasn't got any job to do.
You
And
made
I said
that point.
No, he made something about alleviating fears or pain.
It was
for
to
some time.
reduce the anger of
anger
young
of pain.
people
Assuage
because,
the pain
pot-
of trust.
because
Assuage the pain,
potentially
and you think it's not good enough. When someone is sitting at home and is so agitated,
it's been a
It's so- he's
it's-
so much
it's-
in pain.
Okay, so it's a band-aid. Now the band-aid is off. And
that is why I gave you a series of things that the person could have done during the 3 years. Because during the 3, even if you get 1 year experience, you can use it to apply for a job anywhere. Now, whilst we are doing that, we are creating the situation where factories are being built. Old ones that under the PNDC, NDC era, they collapsed, are being revamped. It started from President Kufuor. They came, they did 2, the military and some other one. Then
well, I don't have the full list,
I'm
but
telling
at
you,
least
they did 2.
I remember the military
I remember
one. There
2.
was another one.
Yes, there was another one, very
but
good
I
one
don't
that
want
they
to
also
take
did.
the position
But they are
that they
just
did
2.
nothing.
They just 2. They did just 2.
No.
But we have done so many. We have done about 100 and something, 126 or so, and we are still ongoing because we believe that the private sector is the engine of growth. Now, he talked about the teacher training that are being given. When they said we are going to build the 200 schools, that they built only 25. Within 5 years, they built 25. Out of the 200 they said we were building. We came, we continued, because we said that we are not going to leave them to be abandoned.
Okay, so
even
you've
the Cath
completed-
hospital, the Cath medical place, President Nanado has taken it on that. Listen, if it means breaking it down and building it well, let us do it, because you cannot continue. Since a champion said that, that was when it started, and no government has come to continue. President Nanado has decided that, listen, instead of going around and claiming that I'm going to build this, I'm going to do new projects, let us also finish the old projects whilst we are doing that, because we can do it hand in hand. He's continued with the the e-blocks. Can these teachers go and teach there? Won't they get the opportunity?
Government needs to employ them to go
Government
and
is going to
teach
employ
them.
teachers very soon.
Government needs to employ
as well.
teachers, nurses, doctors.
You think when you are going to employ teachers, won't take the NAPCO trainees first because they have the requisite skills, they have the job experience? What are we talking about? Let us not try and politicize this and put sand in garis and everything to destroy it as if nothing is going on. The government is putting strenuous effort to close the backlog that was left. And that is why we are asking that, listen, give us more chance and we'll open more avenues. Because this is a government that believes in building the private sector so solid that when you go there, you will not even want to come and work in a government organization.
Okay, so that's a final point. Yes,
I'll take it
Honorable
as that.
Toby. Yes, Honorable Toby. Any final point on that? Otherwise, if not, I would like us to address one of the angst of the young people, that issues of height, issues of stretch marks, which is no fault of theirs, body markings and piercings are being used to eliminate them. Maybe there was a time when these requirements mattered. Do they still matter today?
Thank you so much. My brother probably, I don't know how new he is in this game of analyzing political achievements, but I'm sure that you have heard of we call it Youth Enterprises Support Fund that was under the NDC. And
you had to Google small.
No,
It doesn't matter.
no, it doesn't matter. That's why we have the
Mr.
phone.
Thompson.
Because when you said nothing,
Yes.
the
But you
fact
did
that
nothing.
With this Youth Enterprises Support Fund, we had created over 1,000 enterprises across the country. One thing that is good about the NDC is the fact that as a political party that believes in the Ghanaian to be better than we met them, okay, empowering the Ghanaian. Whatever is good under any government, when we can, we try to continue it. We are not like the MPP. You come to government and all you do is sloganeering. When they say they are doing it, just watch. At the end of the day, you realize that nothing will be done. Okay. So sometimes when we listen to them, we get excited about the good choice of words. But after the action, the impact, it is always zero. So if he says we've done nothing, ESLA. Now somebody say, let me speak the Ghanaian jargon. ESLA money you they chop. You don't know how to create the money, but you know how to chop it. At the end of the day, ESLA saved us a lot.
That is the energy sector levy.
Exactly. And during COVID, where did we get money from? President John Mahama says, listen, let's build the foundation solid. Go to the roads, go to the hospitals, let's create some funds down for future. If you go to Norway, they have an escrow account that is putting money in there to say that tomorrow, this is a depletable commodity, right? One day the oil will finish. But in the next 50 years, our children will come and we have left some money for them to come and say, oh, our great-grandfathers had oil. They left some money for us. As for us in Ghana, what we are doing for our children that are yet to be born is to leave them a huge debt. When they come, they will see what their fathers left for them is debt. And this is not the way to go as a country. Let's be honest as a people. If it is not working, let's tell them it's not working. NAPCO, fine idea, but it was just to assuage the pain of frustrated young people. It is not sustainable. And you can't say that NAPCO people have gotten jobs. A NAPCO teacher just left school yesterday. He's a brother. Come and see the way the students are crying. They want him back, but he had to go. And there is another one who had just finished University of Cape Coast. He's a trained teacher. He doesn't have a job. Thank God he's saying that they're going to employ more.
Otherwise, this guy would have been at home doing nothing. That NAPCO teacher.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm
but
saying. It's
the
not
point
sustainable.
is, they are still
What is
going
not
to be at
sustainable?
home from next week
It's
anyway.
going.
Who says so?
Come
It's
again?
like they should go for leave, isn't it?
But they are going on leave.
When you go for 3 years, don't you go on leave?
Oh, but if you go on leave,
You know,
when
MP,
you go
When
on
they are going
leave,
on leave,
MP, when they say go on leave, you have to be
so
careful.
are they coming back after
something
the 2 weeks?
strategic will be put in place.
Brad Thompson, MP, when they say go on leave, you have to be very careful.
It's NDCU.
MP,
Okay,
Remember
please,
the Rollins said,
our
"Only time you go
our
on
time
leave."
on this is running out. The body markings and the height and, you know, and all that.
body markings. Let me give you a story.
So, like the general,
Yes,
like
general
the general
is right.
requirements, is it fair
Let
in
me-
this
let me-
modern era?
Thank you. Let me give you a short story before I answer your question. I went for a training program outside this country, and somebody gave us a story. There was this commander who took over the command position, and they wanted to construct something to cover a pit. So they constructed a cement slab to cover the pit. It was so fresh. The next day, they realized that goats and cattle had stumbled on the cement, the fresh cement, and destroyed it. So what he did was that they constructed a new one, and he placed guards. He placed guard there. Said, be on duty for 1 week until it is dry completely. The next morning, he was transferred, and the guard duty roster was planned. Nobody told them why. They said, please be on guard here. So they were on guard, and the man went on transfer. In the handing over note, he never stated that aspect. The new commander came and continued with whatever was happening. So they've been on guard at that particular place for 2 years. They were on guard for 2 years, and they didn't know why. The third commander came and asked, why are you guarding this place? What is the secret? He dug deep and realized that it was built by the former commandant or something. So he called him, my brother, I've realized that people are guarding this place. My officers are guarding this place, and I hear this is the 3rd year running. What is the secret? He said, oh no, this is the story. It was just for 1 week. In fact, in my handing over note, I forgot to indicate it. So you've been guarding it for 3 years for nothing. I am saying this to let us understand. There are certain things that were handed over to us by our colonial masters. And everybody says, that is how it is. I remember in the police, they used to tell us, you can't change anything here. What you meet is what you have to carry on. Times are changing, and we need to begin to think differently. Ghana practices what we call the general's approach to security. General's approach to security because you go in there and you are trained as a general police officer, as a general presence officer, general, everything is general. On the job, you can gradually drift to the CID, you can drift to MTTD, you can drift to administration, you can drift to training and all that. But the fundamental training you get is general. In some jurisdictions, you have a specialized system. And the specialized system, you can actually go and apply, say, I want to go in there as a CID man. I'm going in as an investigator. For throughout my policing life, I will be an investigator. I will never wear uniform. We don't have it that way. And because we don't have it that way, the generalist approach says that there is a general criteria for general duty officers. And it is that you should have a height. It is that you must be 18 and above. It is that you should be medically fit. It is that we don't want to see any body marks, scars and whatnot. Because in the general duty, if you wear boot for operation ground for 2-3 days, and you have some scars, they can turn into sores. On general duty, we don't want flat foot. When you have a flat foot and you wear the boot for some time, you can just collapse. These are all medically related things over the years. If the science comes to prove that, oh yes, these things, human evolution, we've gotten to a stage whereby these things no longer apply, they are no longer necessary. I'm sure that all the security agencies will begin to look at the science that will support the decision that they will make and also begin to change. But until change is coming, if you have stretch marks that are bad, and you wear the uniform and in the heat, and you start scratching yourself even outside in uniform, they will not take you. So these are challenges that the security sector says, for us, you can go and work anywhere, it's not a problem. We are not saying that you can't get a job in Ghana. But the security services, what they are saying is that if you want to wear uniform, this is what you need before you can wear the uniform. If you don't have it, please try elsewhere.
I can understand the example of the being flat-footed or the height, because you want to have a certain authoritative look and the like. But I mean, can't we, if someone is short like me and they make a good investigator, why should they be barred?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. We are getting to a stage where we have to do the specialist approach.
No, but are we, I mean, our security services, are they even thinking about that?
Oh, I'm
because
sure.
It doesn't seem like that's the case. What would a double earring piercing do? Okay.
Let me give you that answer. The police is a semblance of society. Every society has its own kind of police. The Ghana police is a semblance of the Ghanaian culture, the Ghanaian society. What the Ghanaian culture frowns against, the Ghana Police Service, the Ghana Armed Forces, the Ghana Immigration Service or Prison Service will not ratify it. Okay? If Ghanaians say, no, we don't want men with earrings. If you wear earrings...
I'm actually...
yeah, I understand. Okay. If you wear earrings and go for recruitment, they will disqualify you. If the Ghanaian society abhors ladies with 3, 4, 5 piercing on their ears, if you go to the security sector, they will disqualify you, because we don't want to be seen to be against the Ghanaian culture. We don't want to be seen to be against what offends the collective conscience of the Ghanaian people. So we are a product of society. And being a product of society, we want to maintain what is decent. And the Constitution says we to maintain law and order. In that order space, there's a lot that the security agencies will have to do to maintain order. Order is not just all about arresting people and enforcing law. Order is all about ensuring social cohesion, respect for our various cultures, diversity. Respect for diversity is also there. So if you gradually see what society abhors, and you think that, why, it is my right, I've decided to pierce my ears 4, 5, what is it? What will that do to my brain? I am supposed to be working with my brain, not my ears. Oh, thank you very much. Society says those ears, it's insulting. It's insulting to our culture. So you can do any other thing. You can have a private business yourself. But if you want to belong to the state agency, a state organization, the people of Ghana say we don't like to see such things, because the state will be seen to be condoning such an act that the society itself is against. So there are certain things that are culturally linked, and we want to promote that social cohesion. The security agency will not be seen to be violating what society says we don't want. So these are some of the reasons why it doesn't matter what you say. They will say no. Mm. And I mean, you are not restricted to only police or soldier, or what. You can do any other thing that you want to do.
Mr. Thompson, what are your thoughts about...
I'd like to, he has been with the police.
Yes, he's been with the...
I'd like to ask him whether they would have employed a Rastafarian into the police service. When you're coming in, would they let you go and cut your hair, or do it?
The fact that if you are coming as a Rastafarian, you will not even go to the screening center with your Rasta, because you will disqualify. It is there. The criteria is spelled out clearly. Okay.
So somebody with dreadlocks.
No, we will not take you.
But that's the other irony. I'm just wondering. If you want to also appeal to minority communities and say that you are actually interested in their welfare and you are protecting them, why not also have people who look like them in your service?
Look at the beret that they wear, the beret of security agencies. You can't wear it with your Rastafarian hair. It is possible, as I'm saying, gradually when we get to the specialist approach to security, it is possible you can have a Rastafarian recruited in a specialized project, okay, that you will never find even wear uniform, but he's still working for the police. If you go, you see, there is something that I observed in Australia when I was there in 2009, 2010. You go to Australia, sometimes you find 10 police officers and 50 other people working together. The 50 other people are actually civilians. They are experts, they are investigators, they are analysts, but they are not police officers, but they are working with the police, they are civilian employees. So it's possible we'll get to a stage where we'll recruit all these people as civilian employees to support professional policing to develop, but they will not necessarily be police officers wearing uniform. And this was a fantastic thing that I observed in Australia. An office of 10 police officers, about 50 people who are not police officers. And they don't want to be police. They don't want to wear uniform. But they want to do security work. They want to do investigation. They are computer experts. You go and find the cybercrime expert is a civilian. That has taken an oath to work for the police. And it's fantastic.
And some of them are eccentrics. They have their hair in a certain way and all that. So I'm just wondering, are we remaining conservative, or eventually there might be a push towards that?
Change is the only constant in the world. You will be a fool to resist change, because whatever is coming, the world is becoming more complicated than we know it before. So if you use the 1920 or the 2010 policing strategy to police Ghana in 2021, or you want to fight fire with the 2010 strategies, you are an immigration officer. Violent crime has come, terrorism is all around, the face of migration has changed so much. So if you want to still behave like the 20-year-old immigration officer, you don't have a place in this world. Change is the only constant, and let's be bold. When it is right to change, let's change it.
Okay. Mr. Thompson, do you have any thoughts on that?
I like the
but
way,
I think
I like the way he's ended. When it's time to change, let's change it. So when it's time to break the 8, let's break it.
I'm not going to wade into that.
Don't wait in that debate, because
let's break it.
You can if you are watching,
that's the only constant in making sure that we continue to provide jobs, we continue to provide things for
the truth of the matter is that if Ghanaians had the opportunity to vote today, if Nana Akufo-Addo gets 30%, that is the MPP, if they get 30%, I will be very surprised. Ghanaians are eager to throw this government out. This incompetent, inept, visionless government.
What you are failing to see. Nana has finished his term by the next 2-3 years.
He has messed the next candidate up completely.
If we are going to vote, they are going to look at the next candidate and what he is bringing on board.
And the next candidate,
your candidate who couldn't give, who unemployment was rising in his time, and says, I'm going to give 1 million jobs.
No, but the potential candidate you are referring to gained 1 million votes in the last elections. You lost significant ground in key regions. And apart from that, the trajectory always shows that any party in power has a major problem in their second term.
Thank you very much. That is why I was asking you. I was going to ask you that have you studied the vote of 2020, when you look at it and the number of votes Nana had for a second term.
Okay, so for the presidential, so the question is, was it an indictment on the members of parliament and rather an endorsement of the president?
Anyway,
that's a whole different conversation.
We'll come back and discuss
that. I don't want to go there, especially in an era.
That's not our topic for today.
In an era where what he's saying is that the change, people should adapt to change, and
the
that
electoral
change
commissioner
means
could not even do simple arithmetic in an era of this.
I wish we could discuss the whole.
Okay, so this part, I think the two of you like this topic. So the next time I'm going to bring the two of you to deal with.
Mahama likes a 1 million.
2024 is a done deal for the NDC. I can tell you, if your presidential candidate come and anchor his campaign on what Nana Akufo-Addo has done, oh my goodness, if he gets 30%, that would be a clash.
Okay, so I'll end that there, but I'll bring the two of you next time to deal with that. Let me just take some of the messages. This one from Koku Nanegbe. Koku, thank you for this message. He says, for the records, NDC created the Youth Entrepreneurial Support, YEP, which MPP changed to NEIP. NDC created Atuabo Gas, Wipe Share Processing Factory, Elmina Fish processing
How did
factory,
they create it?
One
It
Camp
was there
Ceramics,
before they came
etc.
out.
No,
Thank you very much
the
for
list is
that
long.
clarity.
Oh.
False
Somebody say you
Finder
have done
says
nothing.
And everything.
people
When
jumped
when
into
the-
NAPCO
this thing-
because the president said we would be made permanent. Some of us did NSS as far back as 2012 and had worked with some institutions already, earning less than NAPCO 700. We never lacked work experience, so the work experience sermon is not exactly correct. This one from Abinye. Good morning. It's really sad seeing how young people are treated in the country. We paid money to access forms to enter tertiary institutions. After school, we are asked to pay to serve our country. I will plead with government to pay back the money for those who are disqualified.
I support it strongly because, you see, if you have 100,000 people paying 100 cities, okay, that is a lot of money. That's 10 million. And then at the end of the day, you are going to take 5,000 out of that. And all those who have failed, especially those who couldn't even get to the aptitude test stage, the screening stage, I expect even for nothing at all, half of the money should be refunded to them.
Okay.
Or else we are gradually exploiting their vulnerability as youth. And that is administrative exploitation and abuse. And that is quite frustrating and infuriating. The youth who are already angry, if you go and do these things and you are squeezing them and pushing them to the wall, one day, what is put in there in the national security document as the fact that they are a huge threat to national security will come to reality. We don't pray for that. Let's be innovative in our thinking.
All right, and that's where we end this initial session.